Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Mr. God.
Shalom. Shalom.
How are you doing? Okay. Excellent. Glad to hear that. It's always good to hear that everybody's doing good, through the troublous times that we're facing out here today. Everybody's watching the news. You see what's going on out here in the world. It is always glad to see the family here, in one accord, ready to commune with one another, and just have a good time today in the Father's Yahuah. I want to personally give a testimony of how the Father has been good to me this week. It's been a very, very troubling and tiresome week. The hours I've been doing this week, it's been close to like 70 hours. But I'm still able to get the lesson done. It is always a pleasure seeing the Yashra'al here, and the Father just bestowing His set-apart mercy upon me, able to do what I needed to do, get the job done, come on back home, and get a chance to tabernacle with the Yashra'al. So I'm always thankful for all the great things that the Father does for me personally in my life throughout the week. Especially with this set-appointed, not a set-appointed, but this set-apart appointment that we have coming up called Shabbat. So I pray that everybody is getting prepared for that. Since Pesach, everybody should be in the mode or in the mindset of we're preparing for a wedding. So we still have to be on our good behavior, all right? So let's not, as soon as the 7 days of unleavened bread is over with, we now bring the leaven back into our lives. That's not what we're supposed to do. Let that leaven die. Let's move forward into the marriage covenant. That's going to happen in about 4 more weeks from now. Excuse me, about 5 more weeks from now. 5 more Shabbats plus 1 day, so let's give us the 50th day. All right, so let's always keep that in mind. Anybody else have any beautiful testimonies of how the Father has been, working in your lives? As we said that this week, we're going to be giving some testimonies, some praise, some worship. Because it's always good to hear that the Father is working. Don't be shy. I mean, let's show forth the praises how the Father's been working in your lives.
Yeah, I like to say Father's giving me increase, and I know it came from Him.
Right.
There's no other place it can come from.
Exactly.
I mean, because it could have been someplace else it went, but it came to me. So yeah. I want to thank you for that. You know what I mean?
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I mean, even the things that we might not think is important, it is very, very important, because not everybody can give that same testimony. So again, it's always good to give honor and respect to the Father. I'm going to blow the shofar 7 times. All right, I'll do prayer. If I can have, so I came to do the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter, and we're going to do the Father's prayer, and we'll go ahead and get services started from there. All right, so we're going to stand up, face the east. We're about to get started. Yahuah, we give thanks and honor to you through your Son, Yashra'al, the atoning sacrifice for the nation of Yashra'al. Father, Yahuah, we thank you for all the prophets that you have sent, teaching us, begging with us, pleading with us, Father, for us to return to your covenant, to your laws, statutes, commandments. We thank you for all these things. Father, we thank you for keeping us safe in these troubled times that we're facing, the wars, the rumors of wars, the murders, the crimes, all the things that's happening in the world today. Father, we give you thanks that you was our protection, you was our shield, guiding us and keeping us in remembrance from all the harm, the death, the things that could have come upon us. Father, we give you thanks. Father, we also thank you, Father, for this, forgiving us for the sins of our trespasses that we have that we have trespassed against you. We thank you, Father, for forgiving our forefathers, Father, for the sins that they have trespassed also against you. Father, we pray that we also continue to stay in your word, in your Torah, as we work towards your festivals. Father, we also pray that your will be done on earth as it is in Shamayim. Father, we thank you, Father, for all the great things that you've done for us, Father. All the brothers and sisters that who were not able to come today, Father. Father, we pray that you pour out your Ruach HaKodesh upon them, Father, that you also be with them. Father, Yahuah, we just pray that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, as we have said before, Father. Just keep us in your remembrance. Father, we ask all these things in your set apart name of your Son, Yashra'al Mashiach. Hallelujah, Yahuah. Hallelujah, Yahuah. Hallelujah, Yahuah. So we've been reading the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter, the Father's Prayer.
Our Father, which art in Shamayim, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in Shamayim. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Very good, Mr. Carr. Like I said, it's always good for brethren to dwell and sisters to dwell together in a set apart spirit. And what we're going to be doing today is going over, I believe, a very important lesson. All right, and the title of today's show is what we call Our Commitment to Yahuah and Each Other. Okay, again, our commitment to Yahuah and each other. But before we get started, let's begin by giving all esteem to the Father of Yahuah for bestowing on us, for one, his mercy, his love, his compassion, and his forgiveness. Again, we want to give esteem to the Father for bestowing on us his mercy, his love, his compassion, and his forgiveness, for his remembering his covenant that he made with his people, the 12 tribes of Israel. We also want to thank the Father for sending all of his prophets and ultimately his Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, the atoning sacrifice of the nation of Yashra'al. And again, we like to always say, all praises to the Father of Yahuah. Again, we're going to be talking about commitment today. A very easy word for us to exchange with one another. But when we start to get into the actual verb of the word, which is an action, this is where a lot of times we come into major problems, is that word commitment. And when we're committed to the Father of Yahuah, it is also necessary that we also show the same type of commitment to one another. So the question is now, is everyone here committed to all Torah and each other? Again, is everyone here committed to all of Torah and each other? Okay, hallelujah. Because this is the only way that this thing is going to be able to work. Okay, if we show our commitment and loyalty to the Father and to each other. So, with that being understood, the Hebrew word for commitment is the word ga'al. Again, the Hebrews will be very important. G-A-L-A. All right? Ga'al. And let's first go to the book of Tehillim, or the book of Psalms, and we're going to go with the 37th chapter. The 37th chapter. Let's see here. Let's go with I'm going to start at the 5th verse. It says, commit your way unto Yahuah. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Now, that word commit there is the Hebrew word dalal. And we have that with the Gimel, the Lamed, and the Lamed. The word dalal is the Strong's number 1556. 1556, and it means to roll away. All right, to roll away. So what happens now when we, one second, make sure everything is correct here. So when we now read that scripture in its Hebraic perspective, is read this way: roll away your way. Okay, so it's not about you. It's all about making sure that we're in one alignment with the Father and the Son. So that word, dalal, means to roll away. So roll away your way unto Yahuah. Everybody see that, right? You roll away your ways unto Yahuah. Trust also in him, Yahuah, and he, Yahuah, shall bring it to pass. So I just want everybody to know that there's terms and conditions now to this relationship. This is not about what you want to do. It's not about what I want to do. In order to now have this ultimate commitment to the Father and to one another now, we must roll away our personal feelings and come into one or into covenant relationship with the Father. Now, let's show some more on that. We're going to go to the book of Psalms. We're going to stay there. And we're going to 22 and 8. Psalms 22 and 8. He trusted on Yahuah that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him, seeing that he delights in him. So again, that word trusted there is the Hebrew word again, the Gimel, the Lamed, which is the Hebrew word dalal. So again, he trusted and he rolled away his own personal feelings. Let those things roll away. So the word trusted now, once we begin now to do this verb now, of rolling away our own personal thoughts and ideas and behavior and things of that sort, trust on Yahuah that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him is the key thing now. So again, this whole thing about commitment, not putting our own personal feelings before Yahuah is how this whole thing is going to actually work with this relationship. The Torah definition for the word dalal is also real important when I look at that word a little bit more deeper. So again, this is the Hebrew definition for the word dalal. It means to pledge, to engage oneself, to promise, to be obligated or an obligation to, a commitment. It's an engagement, an involvement, a law, a written order of a court directing or subjugating a person to a relationship. That's how important this Hebrew word right here is. Dalal. Very important. Again, a written order of a court directing or subjugating a person to a relationship such as a marriage or a mutual agreement. All right, that word marriage is very, very important. the word engagement is also very important, just to show how we should really examine whether or not we have total commitment to the Father, and the way that we reflect that is having this commitment towards one another. Anybody have any questions so far? We good, all right? Because we're moving up again to something real important here, and we just want to make sure that everybody understands exactly what's going on here. Next thing we're going to do is go to the book of Exodus. The book of Exodus. We're going to go, let's do the 19th chapter. The 19th chapter. And we're going to start at verse number 1. Now, watch what's happening here. It says, in the 3rd month, when the children of Yashra'al were going forth out of the land of Mizraim, the same day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. Now, what day or what month is this on the Hebrew calendar? The 3rd month, when the children of Yashra'al were going forth out of the land of Mizraim, or Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. Just put us into what month? Absolutely, hallelujah. And what happens in June? Shavuot. Shavuot, okay? For they, which is the nation of Yashra'al, were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Yashra'al camped before the mountain. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahuah called unto him out of the mountain, saying, This or thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Yashra'al, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you, Yashra'al, on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. That right there is a commitment. This is the commitment that the Father made with the nation of Yashra'al, and He's asking us now to always be mindful of the things that He does for us. This is the reason why we started out today. Anybody have any testimonies, okay, on how the Father has been blessing them throughout the week? Because again, giving praise and giving honor to the Father is going to be very important, because the Father likes to know that you're being appreciative of the things that He's doing for you. All right, so in turn now, it is also our responsibility to show the same commitment now to the Father and to each other, because right about now, in the book of Exodus, the 19th chapter, there's about to be a marriage. And what we're about to do now here now is rehearse, okay, that actual event in the next couple of weeks here. All right, so this is very important. Now, therefore, if, and Moray and I, we talk about this word all the time, there's terms and conditions to this marriage that the Father, or this relationship that the Father is trying to have with the nation of Yashra'al, and what we should be trying to have with one another. If you will obey my voice, indeed, and keep my covenant, all right, keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth belongs to the Father of Yahuah. So, right now, we see now how the Father wants to set the nation of Israel apart. Set them apart. But again, in order for us to be called or considered a set-apart people, we must keep the covenant, and if we was to do that, the Father said He would consider us a peculiar treasure, and that peculiar treasure is very important. We talk about it a little bit later, is the Hebrew word sekula. Sekula, I think that's how you spell it. S-E-Q-U-L-A. But it's a set-apart, it's a special type of people or treasure into the Father. So he will be a segula unto us above all people, for all the earth belongs to Yahuah. Verse 6 is going to be very important. Very, very important. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, a set-apart nation. These are the words which I shall speak unto the children of Yashra'al. Now, when I saw what was important with verse 6, this is not just any old marriage or commitment that the Father wants to have with the nation of Yashra'al. What the Father is actually doing in verse 6, he's introducing us now to a particular type of order. That order that the Father is introducing us to now is the Melchizedek order. The Melchizedek order. The same order, okay, that Abraham was initiated into, okay, when he met Melchizedek, the king of Salem. So this order, this calling that the Father is calling the nation of Israel into, is not like any other order. And we're going to show this. Let's, for example, the Hebrew word for kingdom in verse 6 is mamlakat. Mamlakat, and that's, I'll write it down here in the board, just in case anybody was interested here. We have the mem, the lamed, and the kuf. Oh, I forgot about in the hay. Can't forget the hay. When we begin to look at Hebrew, the lettering, the writings, it spells out something totally different. Mamlaka is the Strong's number 4467. Let's get that. The word, the definition we have is, one second, this we have the word for kingdom. Okay, it means dominion. We have dominion, reign, and sovereignty. Dominion, reign, and sovereignty. But if we were to look at the root word of it, which is the mem, the lamed, and the kuf, we have the word malak. And the definition is to be or become a king or a queen. So we see what's happening here, all right? We have now, you would be a nation, you should be to be a kingdom of priests. So we're talking about now the initiation that the Father is trying to do with the nation of Yashra'al is that we would become a king, a nation of kings and queens to reign. The call stem, which is another way of defining these Hebrew words here, the call stem, the Hifal and the Hafal definitions are pretty much the same, but the Nifal system of this word malak means to consider. It means to consider. So I just want everybody to make sure that they take, we look at these words very, very closely here, very closely. Because again, the Father is trying to set forth a nation. And this nation's responsibility is to show forth the praises of the Father Yahuah. But the only way, again, that we can do this now is through our total commitment to the Father. Total commitment. So this is what a marriage is all about, right? It's about a commitment. So what's about to happen now at Mount Sinai is not an ordinary marriage. This is a marriage of commitment, and it now is your responsibility now to be this light to the other nations. That is the role of the Melchizedek order. We could talk about this a little bit more too, because that word commitment with the Melchizedek order is a little bit different from the Levitical order, okay, that the Father instituted on our behalf, because if it wasn't for the Levitical order, none of us would be here today. All right, so we good? Very important, and this was our formal invite to walk in the Melchizedek order. And the next thing that I want to do is we're going to stay in the book of Psalms, and we're going to stay in chapter 19. We're going to try to exhaust this a little bit here. Exodus. We was in Exodus, not Psalms. Exodus. Over Shemot. The 19th chapter. I'll read verse 5 again. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a set-apart nation. These are the words that you shall speak unto the children of Yashra'al. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which Yahuah commanded him. Now, verse 8. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahuah has spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto Yahuah, and Yahuah said unto Moshe, Lo, I come unto you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you, and believe you forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto Yahuah. What I found very interesting now is that who actually was it, or that was speaking in this thick cloud? The word thick cloud, all right, is the Hebrew word ah. The Hebrew word ah. But this ah is not spelled with the aleph, but it's actually with the ayin. We have the ayin and the bet. And that's the Strong's number 5645. 5645, and the definition is darkness, cloud, and thicket. 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 So when we begin to look at some of these clues here, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word thicket?
Branch.
Right, the branch. Right. But there's something else I'm asking.
The rent.
All right?
Like the rent being cut.
Sacrifice for the records.
Is that the picking, I think, the stones, picking where the ram got stuck in the
Crown, yeah.
Right, exactly. And so when Abraham was about to sacrifice his only son, the covenant son, all right, this is when the messenger said, listen, you know what? I know now that you're actually more committed, okay, to me than your son. All right, so he held back that, and I just found it real interesting that we have the word thicket with this out of the definition. Okay, we know now that this lamb substituted for the sacrificing of of Isaac, and that lamb that was caught in the thicket was actually the sacrificial lamb, which a prophetic shadow picture of the Mashiach. But I just wanted to show in the scripture who in what this thicket or this thick cloud was. And the definition for cloud is the word to cover, as a canopy. And the Hebrew word for cloud is anan. Well, we have the ayin, the nun, and we have the nun sofi. And so this cloud actually acts as a cover. All right, it acted as a cover. If we go to the book of Acts, we're going to try to get some definitions here to try to help us get a better understanding of that word thicket. And let's go to the book of Acts and this word cloud. What is so mysterious about this cloud? I'm going to read verses, let's see where we'll go at, 9. I'm going to read 9 and 11. And when he had said these things, while they beheld him, he was taken up, which is Mashiach, he was taken up, and a cloud received him. And he was hidden from their eyes, and while they were looking toward Shamayim, as he departed, 2 men were found standing near them in white garments, and said to them, You Galileans, men, why stand you and look toward Shamayim or heaven? This Mashiach, who was taken up from you to heaven, will so come as you have seen him ascend to Shamayim or to heaven. So we see now here this thick cloud, and this cloud now is acting as a covering. This cloud now that is actually covering, all right, Mount Sinai is acting as a huppah or a canopy. People are married under what we call a huppah or a canopy. And the cloud acts as a shield. All the years, the 40 years of Yashra'al being in the wilderness, it talked about the pillar of fire by night and the cloud by day. So we always see now there was always a protective covering, okay, guarding and looking out for the nation of Yashra'al. The word covering now is going to also be important because we have the Hebrew word kafar. And the Hebrew word kafar means to cover. It means to cover. And who was it now that actually atoned or covered the sins of the nation of Yashra'al? It gives us back now to the Mashiach, Yahuah. I'm just trying to draw lines and make sure that everybody understands the importance of what was going on, and that it was the Mashiach speaking and working on behalf of the Father all along. But again, we would only be able to see these things now through prophetic shadow pictures. All right, prophetic shadow pictures. So we're going to go back now. We're going to go back to the book of Exodus. The 19th chapter. We're going to make sure that we draw these parallels so there's no mistake here. So, verse 9 again, and Yahuah said unto Moshe, Lo, I come unto you in a thick cloud. We need again, like I said, we brought out Acts, the first chapter 9 and 11, brought out the importance of this cloud, and we talked about who was actually speaking in this cloud. So we only brought one source of evidence, who was Acts, the first chapter, verse 9 through 11. Let's go to the book of Daniel and see if we can shed some more light on who was actually speaking or working with inside of this cloud here. The book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, and I'm going to read verse 13 to 14. Now Daniel said this now. He said, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man. And who was that now referring to? The Son of Man. Right, on the top of the Mashiach. And he saw one like the Son of Man come with the clouds of Shamayim, the same thing that we talked about in Acts, the first chapter, verses 9 through 11. I saw the Son of Man come with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. So we're talking about now the Father and the Son. Verse 14, and there was given him, the Mashiach, dominion and esteem and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve the Mashiach. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which should not pass away, and his kingdom, that word kingdom again, all right, we're talking about the Melchizedek order, okay? The Mashiach is actually introducing us now into a royal order. This is the reason why every time you see in the scripture, it talks about the covenant that the Father made with our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, the covenant that the Father made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was not the Levitical order. Abraham knew nobody by the name of Levi, Aaron's sons. He knew nobody by those names. He didn't even know anybody by the name of Jacob and Israel. Those names he didn't know those names. So we need to find out what exactly, or what type of covenant that the Father made with Abraham that was different that he made with Israel after the sin of the golden calf, which is very important. Like I always say now, is that what I've been saying in bits and in clues and in hints is that what happened at Mount Sinai is very important. We was introduced into the Melchizedek order. It took less than 40 days for Israel for us to show our behinds. All right? We couldn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments for 40 days. So this is what the Father said I'm going to do. I'm going to give you something on your behalf. On your behalf, I'm going to introduce to you now the Levitical order. And the Levitical order now is an order where we now have to do animal sacrifices to atone for our sins. This was introduced to us this is like a favor. This is now the mercy that the Father is now having on the nation of Israel. Because prior to that, we was again introduced into the Melchizedek order. So again, we'll go back to the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, I'm going to read 13 and 14 again. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, and he came with the clouds of Shamayim, or heaven, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, and there was given him the Mashiach, dominion, it has here glory, but we know this all esteem, and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which should not pass away, and his kingdom which should not be destroyed. Let's go to the book of Matthew. The book of Matthew. Book of Matthew, and we're still talking about this cloud. Cloud here. We go to the book of Matthew, the 26th chapter. And we're going to, let's see. Let's see, should I go up a little bit? Let's start at verse 60. Verse 59. And the chief priests and the elders and the whole assembly sought for witnesses against the Mashiach, that they might put him to death. And found them not. And many false witnesses came, and at last 2 came forward, and said, This man said, I can destroy the temple of Elohim, or Yahuah, and in 3 days rebuild it. And the high priest rose up and said to him, to the Mashiach, Respond thou nothing? What do these testify against you? And the Mashiach was silent. And the high priest answered and said to him, I adjure you by the living you Father, or you Elohim, that thou tell us whether thou art the Mashiach, the son of Elohim, or Yahuah. Verse 64. The Mashiach said unto him, Thou hast said, meaning that you're absolutely right or you're correct. I am the son of the Father. And I say unto you, that hereafter you shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of Shamayim. So we see here now, we're tying in what was going on in Exodus, the 19th chapter, and the importance of this cloud, and who was actually speaking in or through this cloud. It was actually the Father speaking, the Mashiach speaking on behalf of the Father. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. The book of Exodus. Let's go to Exodus. We're going to go to Exodus, the 34th chapter. And I'm going to read verse, let's see, 34. I'm going to start at, let's see, should I read at 5? I'm going to start at verse 1 to 5. And Yahuah said unto Moshe, Cut thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and I will write upon these tablets the words that were in the first tablets which you wrote. And be ready in the morning, and come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai, and present yourself there to me at the top of the mountain. And no man shall come up with you, neither let any man be seen throughout all the mount, neither let the flocks nor herds feed before that mountain. And he cut 2 tables of stone, like unto the first. Like unto the first. And Moses rose up early in the morning and went up into Mount Sinai, as Yahuah had commanded him, and took in his hand the 2 tables of stone. And Yahuah descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of Yahuah. So we have now in Acts, the 1st chapter, verses 9 through 11, we have the Mashiach now ascending, and here in Exodus 34 and 5, we have the Mashiach descending. Okay, so which would be another lesson where we're going to talk, would it be actually now looking at the death and resurrection. So we see an ascending and a descending, and all these things are being done for the nation of Yashra'al. And again, I just want to point out the importance of this cloud. This particular type of cloud. And one more, we're going to go to the book of Exodus. The book of Exodus, the 16th chapter. 16th chapter, verse 2. And Yahuah said unto Moshe, Speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the set apart place within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that you die not. For I will appear, and that word I, that personal pronoun, for I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. So we talked about now who's actually sitting on the right-hand side of the Father, which is Yahushua the Mashiach. And we see here now is that who is actually sitting on this mercy seat, because someone now is going to be atoning for the nation of Yashra'al. The one that is actually sitting on the mercy seat is giving the mercy, and this is going to all now be, again, a prophetic shadow picture of the Mashiach. Now, the reason why I wanted to exhaust this whole word with this whole thing about the word thick cloud and showing that this is actually the Mashiach is because the Hebrew language is very, very important. And if we don't pay close attention to the language, we're going to find ourselves with a big problem here. A lot of times, brothers, the sister might come to me and say, well, listen, Akeem, what do you feel about this particular scripture here? And I might know the scripture, but what I like to do now is say, listen, you know what? Let me get back with you. And the reason why I'm taking that approach now is because I want to make sure that I read it in Hebrew first. Okay, because there's a lot of things that needs to be re-examined. For example, the reason why I'm so meticulous with these wordings here, something was brought to my attention this past week. The book of Romans, the 15th chapter, verse 9 through 12, I'm going to read. Because Ezekiel, how much time we have? Okay, now I say to Mashiach, minister to the circumcision in behalf of the truth of the Father, in order to confirm the promise made to the fathers. Verse 19. Let me see the verse 9.
And that the Gentiles might glorify El for his mercy, as it is written, for this cause I will confess to thee among the Gentiles, and sing unto thy name. And again he said, rejoice, ye Gentiles, with his people. And again, praise Yahuah, all ye Gentiles, and and again, praise ye Yahuah, all ye Gentiles, and laud him, all ye people.
Right, okay, that's verse 11. Okay, Shai, if you can read the same thing. I have the same thing. I mean, it's not a trick. So, before you do that now, who are the Gentiles here? Because it said that the Gentiles might glorify for his mercies upon them, as it is written, I will confess to thee among the Gentiles, and to their name will I sing psalms.
10 tribes.
Okay, so let's say the 10 tribes, everybody agree, or do, because it said in verse 8, now I see that the Mashiach ministered to the circumcision in behalf of the truth of the Father, in order to confirm the promises made to our fathers, and that the Gentiles might glorify Elohim or El for his mercies upon them, as it is written. So we still have these Gentiles as being Northern Kingdom, or these Gentiles somebody else outside of Israel here.
What do you say that they could just be the nations?
No, this is my question, because this is what's my attention. Okay, no problem. Shai, if you could read 8 to 11.
Now I say that Mashiach was a minister of the circumcision for the truth of Elohim, to confirm the promises made unto the Father.
So Shaul is speaking here. In order to confirm and understand what's going on in verse 8, the key thing that we have to look at now is that Shaul is making reference to the Old Testament. He's making reference to the Old Testament because he's saying now, or he's reminding the audience, that the promises that was made to the fathers. So if I'm having a conversation with you, and I begin to say things like, well, listen, Ezekiel, remember the testimonies of our fathers. If I'm speaking to you in that manner, then you must be familiar with our fathers, the testimonies. Now, if I was speaking to somebody that was not of the nation, and I began to say to them, well, remember the covenant of our fathers, they will go, well, what are you talking about? I don't remember what fathers are you referring to. I don't remember any promises being made to our fathers. So I can only have this conversation with a people now that's familiar with the language. All right? So, go ahead.
Verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that the Gentiles might glorify Elohim for his mercy, as it is written, for this cause will I confess to thee among the Gentiles, and sing unto thy name.
Hallelujah. So, again, being meticulous that I am with this, verse 9, and the Gentiles might give esteem to the Father for his mercies. The word that sticks out there is the word mercies, right? Because now we have a situation where there's a group of people now that's being called Gentiles. And they're going to now give esteem to the Father because of his mercy. What was the mercy that the Father also bestowed upon the Gentiles? Because this northern kingdom now is being called by Gentile names. But they're now giving mercy, or they're giving esteem to the Father for the mercy that he also showed them.
Okay, did they still, going back to what you was talking about earlier, they still was giving the schoolmaster, even, right? Because before everything split, they still knew about the schoolmaster.
Exactly. So again, just going back like we had talked about earlier, you can only have a conversation with a person if they're familiar with the things that you're saying. If they're not familiar with the things that you're saying, they're going to look at you like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Now go to Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy. The reason why we have to take our time with the scriptures here, the book of Deuteronomy, and we're going to go to the 32nd chapter. And the 43rd verse. Okay, Shaul, if you can read that for me.
And we're reading 32 and 43. Rejoice, O you nation, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and unto his people.
So what is verse 43 speaking of? Because it says, rejoice, O you Gentiles, with his people. For he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. So if someone was to ask you, okay, then well, what is verse 43 speaking of? And ask me, verse 43. When you read verse 43, and you needed to explain this, it says, rejoice, O you nations, or Gentiles, because the word is actually the Gentiles, or Goy, or Goyim. Rejoice, O Goyim, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. How would you explain that?
Is it not the same reference as in Romans? Meaning, it's the same text.
Right, because right. So what is sticking out here, and I explain to you, Shaul, what is sticking out here, if you needed to explain this, because we have Shaul now making a reference to this particular chapter and verse.
Just want to take a stab at this. I'm thinking you have to make some decade with Israel.
Right, exactly. So, everybody gave a good answer. But you should have in your in your scripts, that word with should be in italics, meaning that it's not there. The way that it is read here, again, it says, rejoice, O nations, his people. Or rejoice, O Gentiles, his people. For he will avenge the blood of his servants, which is Israel, and will render vengeance to Israel's adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. So the context of the story stays the same. What we're trying to show here now is what the Masoretes, okay, and what the Catholics are actually trying to do with Scripture. The twisting and adding and taking away of words can change the whole dynamics of a whole verse, chapter, and now we get the whole thing where now the Gentiles are actually referring to the other nations. But because of Israel's disobedience to the law, statutes, commandments, and not understanding commitment, and we not denying ourselves for the Father, as the Mashiach denied himself for us, we're now considered Gentiles. Negro is a Gentile word. American is a Gentile. Jamaican is a Gentile. Anytime that you're not being called by your actual name and you're taking on the customs of somebody else, you're now taking on the ideology of Gentiles. So again, the way that I explain this is that, again, when you go down to the book of Romans, all right, the 15th chapter, verses 9 through 12, every time Shaul speaks, he's making a reference to Old Testament, okay, scripture. What we then need to do now is find that, what Shaul is saying in the New Testament and the Old Testament. And you're going to see now, when he quotes now Deuteronomy 32:43, the Masoretes, they added the word with. Because it's now making it sound like, rejoice all you nations, or the Gentiles with his people. That's not what he's saying. He's calling Israel Gentiles. Okay, I just wanted to bring that out, all right, to make sure that, again, everybody was good, we'll be on the same page, and we can continue to move forward. Let's go to the book of, no, let's go back to, let's go to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus, the 24th chapter. Exodus, the 24th chapter. And this should really put the nail in the coffin here. Because I'm going to go real slow with this here. Because I want to make sure that everybody is understanding exactly what's going on and what's about to take place real soon here within the next couple of weeks as we rehearse these righteous acts. All right, we have to rehearse these festivals here. Very important. Okay. And he said to Moses, which is we can say the Father. The Mashiach is speaking on behalf of the Father. And he said to Moshe, come up into Yahuah, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 other elders of Yashra'al, and worship afar off. Listen to the instructions real carefully. And Moses alone, or Borei Moses alone, shall come near Yahuah, but they should not come. Neither shall the people go up with him. Verse 23. And Moshe came and told the people all the words of Yahuah and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice in Akkad and said, all the words which Yahuah has said, we will do. Unless somebody else has a different version, in order for this marriage ceremony to take place, everybody has to agree.
What was the verse again?
This is the book of Exodus, the 24th chapter, verse 1 through 8. If we can't all agree, it can't be a marriage. All right? There's some major things that we see that's happening around the world today, and there is going to be a second marriage, reconciling the bride back to the groom again, but we must understand the conditions. All the words which Yahuah has said, we will do. Verse 4, and Moses wrote, okay, when we begin to see words like write and wrote, what does that mean? What is that word in Hebrew? Hallelujah. Ketub, a writing. We need someone to actually be a witness of this agreement, of this commitment that the Father is actually having with the nation of Yashra'al. And Moses wrote all the words of Yahuah and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Yashra'al. And he sent young men of the children of Yashra'al, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahuah. Now, burnt offerings is the Hebrew word olah. Olah is the Strong's number 5930, and it means whole burnt offerings. All right? A whole burnt offering. It also means to ascend. It means stairway, steps. It means to go up before Yahuah. To go up before Yahuah. To excel, to be superior, to be exalted. Now, with that word of olah, or a whole burnt offering, all right? And this is now what we call an olah. And this is what Israel is giving to the Father. I need to know, make sure everybody is running with me. When it says that Israel offered up a whole burnt offering to Yahuah, what does that mean to you? A whole burnt offering. When a whole offering is put upon the altar, the whole thing is consumed in honor of the Father. So, when we see whole burnt offering, right, this is actually, let's not go that route with the Mashiach. What the Father is actually asking is for you to be that sacrifice as a whole burnt offering. Meaning that you're now placing yourself on the altar and you're giving your all. When you give your all, this is the sign now of your commitment to the Father and us towards one another. Because remember now, the reason why we're doing this is because the group, Yahuah, showed his love to us first. And so I'm going to read it again. Make sure we're on the same page here. And Moshe sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahuah. So what we have to do for the Father is to offer up ourselves as a whole burnt offering in submission to the Father. The way that the Mashiach now, okay, offered himself up to us. We're told, right? Everybody is good. Everybody understands it is not your will, but the will of the Father. So the question now becomes what is it that you're going to sacrifice, or what is it that you can sacrifice totally for the Father? Because not everybody is able to do that. Because it's not about you. It has never been about you, because you were bought with a price. It means that you were purchased. You're not your own person. You can never say that what you can and what you can't do for the body. If you do say that, Then, because I pay close attention to when people are talking, and when I hear those type of conversations, I say, you know what? You don't belong here. You need to belong, you can go to church, and you can pick and choose whatever it is that you want to do. But according to Torah, we see Abraham, okay, giving up his firstborn covenant son for the father. My father Abraham. I see my mother Sarah denying herself for the father. Everybody gave up something for the father. And if either I or Morey was to even go into now how each of the prophets died, they all died horrific deaths. And they've done all of this now for you and I. And if they didn't do that, none of us would probably be here today. And this is the reason why, one more thing, and this is the reason why I want everybody now to take this walk serious. It is not about you. It's never been about you, to be technical. That's the reason why the Father said, listen, you know what? I destroyed every last one of them, and I will continue on with the Melchizedek order under Moses. That's what I'll do. So never think that you're so important where the ball is not going to continue because you're not here. Whoever loves mother, brother, sister, or father more than me is not worthy of me. Yes.
So this is where, that ties everything in. This is where Paul, like Paul was saying, we will offer ourselves as a sacrifice.
Exactly. Exactly. This is what this whole thing is about. And our people, just like Maury has said, is that this captivity has made us so lazy where we don't want to go nowhere. We don't want to move. I'm not going anywhere. I'm settled in my ways. We've been so conditioned under the Greco-Roman society's way of doing things. We're just comfortable. But every time, like Maury had brought up last week, is that in the series that he did, is that every time Israel went into captivity, we always sang, quote unquote, Negro spirituals, looking over Jordan to carry me home. We was always in the mindset of wanting to go back home. But we deal with a different breed of people here now, right? So I guess it is what it is. So everybody's going to have to make that ultimate choice and see whether or not they are really, really in the walk. Now, verse 5 again, and he said, young men of children of Yashra'al, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings. Peace offerings are what type of offerings? What is a peace offering called? Everybody knows what a peace offering is, and nobody knows what a peace offering is. What's the Hebrew word for peace offering?
Shalom.
Right, exactly. Shalom. A shalom offering. Shalom, however you want to pronounce it, all right? And so, a shalom offering, Mr. Ricard, is an offering of peace, right? Thank you, but it's also an offering of requital. I just want to pay you back for all the great things that you've done for me. So when we speak with one another, it's an act of asking for forgiveness. So if I say shalom to you, my shalom has to be sincere, especially if I say it twice. Because that's a double confirmation that I have no problems or issues with you. I can't say shalom to you and then 15 minutes later you want to have an argument and a fight with me. My shalom was not a sincere shalom. So these words are very, very important. The Hebrew language is very important. And so Israel now is making an offering of thanks, peace, entering into a covenant of a Melchizedek order, which is a different order than the Levitical order now of a whole burnt offering, where we are now saying that, listen, you know what, I'm going to offer my whole self up to you. Father, what it is that you want me to do. We don't tell the Father what I want to do. It doesn't work like that. It works like that in church, not with inside of the body of Yashra'al. I have found no scripture where you are allowed to do whatever it is that you want to do. Have not found it yet. Father, let me be your servant, and I will do whatever it is that you want me to do for the benefit and the improvement of the body. Unless somebody else has a different definition, I'm more than willing to listen to it. All right? Yes. 3 minutes. Let's go to the book of Acts. It is my responsibility, okay, to try to make sure that we all understand what this walk is all about. Because I'm telling you, this walk here is going to take a lot of dedication and putting your personal feelings aside and making sure that you're going to do this Torah walk. And Torah doesn't mean Torah to everybody. Some people have their own definitions to Torah. So let's see here. Let me just read down a little bit. I'm going to read from what we got from first chapter, Acts 20, chapter 1 to 28. That should pretty much close the show here. Yes, Acts 20, chapter. Good. And we afterwards learned that the island was called Melita, and the barbarians who inhabited it showed us many kindness. We talking about Shaul here. We're talking about the great men here, the Talmudim, the disciples now who are actually going out doing the will of the Father. Again, doing the will of the Father, not their own will. And the barbarians who inhabited it showed us many kindness, and they kindled a fire and called us all to warm ourselves because of the great rain and cold at that time. And Paul took up a bundle of faggots here, but that's not, no, that's not what we're talking about here. And we're talking about sticks here, okay? Yeah, he laid them on the fire, and a viper, while the heat came out of them, and bit his hand. And when the barbarians saw it hanging on his hand, they said, doubtlessly, this man is a murderer. Talking about Shaul here now, whom though delivered from the sea, justice would not suffer him to live. But Shaul shook his hand and threw the viper into the fire, and he received no harm. And the barbarians expected that he would suddenly swell and fall dead on the ground. I want us to pay very, very close attention to what's going on how to identify characters in the Bible, all right? In this particular script here. Because I'm going to ask you who are these barbarians and what are the clues that you're going to find in this chapter that's going to explain to you who these barbarians are.
What chapter?
28, verse 6, the book of Acts. And the barbarians expected that he would suddenly swell and fall dead on the ground. And when they had looked a long time and saw that he received no harm, they changed their language and said that he was a messenger or an elf. And there were lands in that quarter belonging to a man named Publius, who was the chief man of this island. And he cheerfully received us at his house 3 days. And the father of Publius was sick with a fever, and he had a disease in his bowels. And Paul went to him and prayed and laid his hands on him and healed him. And after this event, others also in the land who were sick came to him and were healed. And they honored us with great honors. And when we left the place, they supplied us with necessaries. And after 3 months we departed, sailing in the ship of Alexandria, which had wintered in the island, and which bore the signal of the twins. And we came to a city of Syracuse and remained there 3 days. And from there we made a circuit and arrived at the city Regularly. And after 1 day, the south wind blew for us, and in 2 days we came to Puteoli, a city in Italy. And there we found brethren, and they invited us, and we remained with them 7 days, and we proceeded towards Rome. And the brethren there, hearing of our approach, came out to meet us as far as the village called Appii Forum, and as far as the 3 taverns. And when Paul saw them, he gave thanks to the Father and was encouraged, and went on to Rome. And the centurion allowed Paul to reside where he pleased, with a soldier who guarded him. And after 3 days, Paul sent and called for the principal Jews. The principal Jews now. And when they were assembled, he said to them, Men and brethren, although I had in nothing risen up against the people of the law of my fathers. Very important. Paul is in chains. Okay, the Romans have him now as a prisoner. And after 3 days, Paul sent and called for the principal Yahudims. And when they were assembled, or when they came to Paul, Paul said to them, Men and brethren, although I had nothing risen up against the people or the law of my fathers. All right, that's very important. I had nothing risen up against the people or the law of my fathers. I was at Jerusalem, delivered over in bonds to the Romans. And they, when they had examined me, were disposed to release me, because they found me no offense deserving death. And as the Yahudims withstood me, I was compelled to utter an appeal to Caesar, but not because I had anything of which to accuse the people of my nation. So he's not accused of the circumcision here, but he's now in bondage, and he's going to let you know who he's in bondage for. Let's find out what Shaul's ministry is. For this reason I sent for you to come, that I might see you and might state these things to you. For it is on account of the hope of who? Israel. On the account of the hope of Israel that I am bound with these chains. The ministry of the Mashiach. You want to be a minister, you want to be a disciple of the Father. Your ultimate goal has to be for the learning, the edifying of the nation of Yashra'al. This is what Paul went through. This is what Jeremiah went through. All of our forefathers and sisters died so that, again, you and I can be here. This is what I'm talking about, this ultimate commitment. And again, take time, because that word halal, there's more than one definition to it, but that gimel, lamed, halal, is very, very important. We only touched on it, all right? We're going to go into it a little bit deeper, but again, this is going to be a 4-part lesson, so we're not going to be here all day. For an account of the hope of Israel, that I'm bound with these chains, they said to him, we received no letter from Judea against you, and none of the brethren who have come from Jerusalem have told us any evil thing of you. But we are desirous now to hear from you, Paul, Shaul, now, what thou thinkest, for this doctrine we know is not received by anyone. And they appointed Shaul him a day, and many assembled and came to him at his lodging. And he explained to them respecting the kingdom of Yahuah, testifying and persuading them concerning Mashiach out of the law of Moses and out of the prophets from morning till evening. And some of them assented to his disclosure, and others did not assent. So what was the problem that some of them were having with Shaul's testimony? What was their problem?
It be that they remember Shaul was a Pharisee himself, believing not the things that he was saying, but by the action he took back in the past time.
Yep. They were not able to understand the redemptive role of the Mashiach. Remember, it was the Pharisees. Okay? The Pharisees they didn't recognize the Mashiach. Tell us whether you be the Mashiach or not. You said, well, I am the Mashiach. And from here forth after, you're going to see the Mashiach, who's going to be sitting on the right-hand side of the Father, coming down in clouds. You were not able to recognize the Mashiach when he came. So it was the role of the Talmudim now to go out and to minister to all Israel that the one that was prophesied to come, he came, died, resurrected. So when we begin to read now, like the books of Acts, of Romans, Ephesians, Galatians now, the hope of Israel was this, is that the Redeemer would come, atone for their sins, bring us now back into covenant relationship with the Father. But this covenant now that he's going to be bringing us back into now is not the Levitical order. Not that. So when we go now to the book of, I think it's Matthew, what is the 5th chapter? This is, think not that I come to destroy the law, I come not to destroy but to fulfill, and to all things be fulfilled. Now, get that for me, and I'll end it there. In the book of Matthew, Yahuah. I think that's the 5th chapter.
Think not that I come to destroy the law.
Okay, think not that I come to destroy the law. So the laws are still in effect. Okay, the dietary laws. You're not supposed to commit adultery, homosexual acts, worshiping idols and things of that sort. You're not supposed to do those things. Read on.
Or the prophets.
Or the prophets. Okay.
I have not come to destroy, but fulfill.
Right.
For verily I say unto you, the Shamayim and the wreck of heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled.
Until all things be fulfilled, right? So with that now, we have to see now, was there anything that the Mashiach had to fulfill? Read that one more time, because there's something in that key that I didn't want us to overlook. Just that verse there.
For verily I say unto you, the Shamayim and earth pass, one jot or one tittle,
right,
shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled.
Right, so all things be fulfilled.
Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach man so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of Shamayim. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called the greatest in the kingdom of Shamayim.
Right, so again, that redemptive role of the Mashiach, until all things be fulfilled. And what the Mashiach actually did now, okay, he now alleviated this whole Levitical order. Again, bringing us back now to the Melchizedek order, which is the order that the father, that Abraham had with Melchizedek. And we talked about a little bit about covenant mills, and I promise I'll end it here. Covenant mills. We see now where the Mashiach is actually reintroducing to his Talmudim, this Melchizedek order, where he's now, before his death, he's now having this last meal with him. That last meal was a very specific meal where it was bread and wine. And he told him what the bread represented and what the wine represented. It was the same type of meal that Abraham had with Melchizedek. So again, these covenant meals, Yashra'al, are very important. Commitment is very important. Understanding what the Talmudims did, what Shaul was actually doing. His whole ministry now was for the reunification of the 12 tribes of Israel. And we're going to go through it a little bit later on, but I want to finish this Melchizedek order. But I guarantee you, I'm being real meticulous about what's going on here now. But from Romans, the 1st chapter, to the 16th chapter, when we see these words Gentiles floating all over the place in Greeks and things like that, and Shaul is actually now quoting verses, Romans, the 1st chapter, all the way to the 16th verse. I don't care where you see the word Gentiles at, it's referring to the nation of Yashra'al. Guaranteed. Because the only thing we have to do is go back to the scripture that Shaul is actually quoting in the Old Testament. All right, so Mishra, yes.
You said something about the bread and wine. Was it we wash the feet washing? We was at the tent of the door. Is that what you're talking about? Is that the part of the ceremony?
This happened on the 14th nighttime. When remember he was up in the upper room.
Oh, I'm not. I was talking about Abraham. You said Abraham. Back when he was dealing with Abraham.
Right. This is when he had came back from, he delivered his nephew Lot.
Okay.
With the, I think he killed like 7. It was 5, like the 5 kings here and everything like that. And he gave tithe over to Melchizedek, the king of Shalom, or the king of peace.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later too. I mean, who actually that was? Some say it was Shem, some say it was the Mashiach.
Right.
But we didn't get into that. But these covenant meals is very important, even though washing the feet. I mean, this was something that we're supposed to be doing, especially during Pesach, you know. So again, it's just a ceremony of being humble. The greater you are, the more humble you become. Those of us that are borates, teachers, and even everyone here in this congregation, it is once you get to the understanding of knowing Scripture, I now work for you. It is my responsibility now to serve you. And not everybody is willing to do that. You now have to deny yourself the way that all the prophets did. Every single last one of them. Every single last one of your mothers, my mothers, your fathers, my fathers, your brothers, my brothers, we all had to make that ultimate sacrifice. Things are heating up. All right, things are heating up. And Mr. Carl, that's all I have for today. And we're going to continue with that word aloud next week. And we're going to move a little bit more into what was actually in the Ark of the Covenant. What was actually in here. And why wasn't it there anymore during the time of Solomon's reign? All right? So, Mr. Carl, that's all I have for today. All right?